The following episode might contain content that you might not be comfortable listening to. This might range from swearing to references to self-harm and substance abuse. Please proceed with caution and don't hesitate to reach out for help if you need it. What's something new that you want for yourself? Is it a new goal? Is it something that you want to change about yourself? Anything. Anything at all. Hello, my name is Hazy. Who Killed Hazy? And welcome back to yet another episode of the Only Rainy Days podcast. I guess technically I hit number 30 with this one. On top of it, this is the first podcast episode going into 2024. So cheers, hypothetical cheers, hopefully for most people. Hypothetical cheers going into the new year, and let's see what the hell it yields for anyone here. I know last episode I spent a good amount of time not even sugarcoat it. Spent a lot of time on the last episode kind of rambling about what 2023 was for me, so I will not spend too much time going back into that shit show. But yeah, 2023 was a shit show. It was a shit show. Now that I look back on it, I spent so much time just, I don't want to say time wasted necessarily, but if I think quick off the top of the dome, it just wasn't, I can't say it wasn't good, but it wasn't bad either. It was just a lot of unexpected tragedies. Let's go with that. A lot of shit happened in 2023 that I didn't really see for myself. Probably couldn't have expected. I mean, granted, I don't think some of it I could have seen. 2023 was, I went into 2023 fresh out of a relationship, my first relationship, and I didn't really understand what could come from it in any sort of way. Spent a lot of the year healing, trying to heal, or fucking up. Let's just be completely blunt. Let me just be completely blunt with myself. I spent a lot of time in 2023 just fucking around. Spent a lot of time just fucking around, trying to I guess refine that balance with being comfortable with being alone. And even then, I didn't spend a lot of 2023 alone. Not truly alone, It wasn't like there wasn't any sort of anything going on. I guess I spent a lot of 2023 dancing and trying to hide and run away from the fact that I felt alone by finding that comfort in other people, which is something that I'm starting to really come to terms with in a way. I'm in this weird lucid state right now, or not semi-lucid, I guess. I just got back in maybe 5-10 minutes ago from hanging out with one of my friends, my best friend, and there's so many ways I can take this conversation, just think about it, but the friend that I just came back with, we've been friends since 2010, back when I was 7, basically. We met in the 3rd grade, and even when the New Year's happened, and especially tonight, we spent a good portion of tonight just kind of focusing on the fact that holy shit, we've known each other for the last 14 years. We've, at this point, I think it's pretty fair to say we literally grew up with each other. We know each other very well. We've seen a lot of evolutions between, how we act and, what we condone and what we don't condone. There's a lot of shit with that type of thing. And with just kind of going through the past with someone that has been there with me in the past, and vice versa. I was with him for his entire past. Excuse me there. There was like, I just find it crazy to think that I've spent the last 14 years of my life just like kind of with like one person, or really tight with one person. Because, I mean, we've been close like the entire time. The amount of hours I spent at his house, I know a lot of his family, like basically vice versa. Like, we're in it, and I recognize that I'm lucky to be in that type of situation. Between just in general and like some conversations I've had recently, because my mind is fucking boggled. But like, yeah, with a lot of recent events, I realized that one, I am very blessed to have someone I can say I've been friends with and been close with for the last 13, 14 years of my life, especially with how relatively young I am. It's a great blessing. But we spent a lot of tonight just kind of going over a lot of shit. We talked about like our whole like history as friends, or like some of the things that we regret, and just like going over our old friend groups and things like that. But one of the beautiful things about my friend, which how do I put this? One of the beautiful things about my friend is the fact that he's like finding his lane in life. He's finally figuring out where he wants to be, what he wants to do with himself. And it's beautiful to be able to like see that like kind of happen in real time. Because I've seen all the shit from failed classes and deciding to just skip school, to him declaring a major that he seems to be really invested in. And I guess tonight was a time where he was really tested about, is this something that he really wants to do? Because I watched him switch from, he went into college as a computer science major, a CS major, and now he's declared as a psychology major. So I kind of use that a little bit, truthfully. I'm gonna try not to sugarcoat it too much, but I use that to my advantage, because I asked him a bunch of questions, somewhere between some of the questions I personally have about life and some questions I have pertaining to my own personal life. And most of the questions are related to like recent events. So essentially 2023, trying to make sure it all loops back. But I just asked him a lot of shit, and we had such a good conversation. I wish I recorded it. I wish it was recorded in some way, not even necessarily for the conversation to be public. A lot of information talked about. A lot of the shit that we said probably shouldn't be anywhere, or I don't think I want it to be anywhere. But the responses that he gave me, it really opened my eyes in a way. In a lot of places, I realized that I'm not completely wrong with some of the ways that I think and feel with certain situations, to he challenged like some of the ideals and some of the ways that I think about life. Exactly the same way that I think about it, because I try my best to challenge how I try my best to challenge the perspective I have on life and mortality as a whole. And he has a whole different mindset. On top of having a whole different mindset, he's going to the field of psychology, so he has a whole lot of different research. So he really kind of opened my eyes in a way to just like, there is more than just one way that people see life. Like, the way that I see life isn't necessarily the way that someone else sees life. And I understood that from the beginning, but to really hear it, knowing that half of the things that he said was his honest thoughts about life, and the other half is things that he kind of learned in like the different perspectives and more academic ways to tackle issues that I felt like I've been dealing with for as long as I can remember, the last 7, 8, 9, 10 years, kind of blew my mind away. Because I brought up a lot of issues that I talked about in last episode, in consideration of 2023. A lot of shit, because 2023 was a shit show. There's no other way to really dance around it. I spent that entire year running away. Running away from issues, really focusing into some of the bigger issues that I want to try to tackle now. Or, I always knew it was an issue, but I didn't realize how bad it got. My issues with depression, my issues with anxiety, my issues with alcoholism, and my issues with, truthfully, some of the mannerisms and the way that my friends act, whether it be towards me or just in general. We had a lot of conversations, mostly in a personal sense. We had a lot of conversations about like trust and golden standards and all these things that I will probably touch back on at some point. If not tonight, then, somewhere in the future. But we talked about a lot of shit. And it just kind of helped me realize, just like, truthfully, like, oh, I have some fucking issues, man. I have some fucking issues, man. Like, I really did spend the entirety of 2023 just kind of using any and everything I could around me to avoid whatever I didn't want to feel at the time. Like, for example, because I know I talked about this before, last episode. I promise I'll stop saying that. But, I went into 2023 single. I had a boyfriend for essentially not essentially the majority, essentially almost the entirety of 2022. I was in a relationship, and around the time 2023 ran around, I was out of it. And no, fuck it. I'm just gonna have to say this is as true as it comes. I think I spent the entirety of 2023 kind of fucking around and just like trying to find comfort in anyone I can find comfort in. That way I didn't have to feel alone. That way I didn't have to fall deeper into all of my vices even more than I already do at the current moment. Because I realized that I made a joke with him where it's just like, oh, I can describe my 2023 in phases. And it's just like, oh, the phases is just who I was talking to at the moment, who I was interested in, yada, 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 whatever. And I made that statement as a joke, and he kind of called me on it, and I kind of called myself on it, where it's just like, damn, I really haven't given myself any moment in time lately to, I don't want to say necessarily build myself out and figure out who I am, because I think I have a relatively decent grasp on who I am. I definitely have some more questions, but I'm not going to get into that. But there was not a moment in 2023 where it was just me versus the world. I didn't let my back like truly hit the wall, the way we like to describe it. I didn't let my back hit the wall at all. I understand and running away from the idea of I didn't let myself get pushed to like a rock bottom, but I also hit a rock bottom by trying to avoid it through companionship by any means. Because the moment something was like going wrong with one person, or this, that, and third, I lost communication. Good amount of people not a good amount of people. I'm not a whore, or I'm not like going crazy with that type of shit. But there was just always someone. There was always someone where I would just try to build some sort of rapport with them because I didn't want to feel alone again in any sort of way. I spent the entirety of last year just completely afraid of that type of thing. So I always had someone. It's just like, I can spend time with this person. I can, put some of my deeper, darker thoughts on them, and we can talk about it, and vice versa. And that's like, I guess that's like what I needed. In a way, it was like pseudo therapy, because truthfully, if I just really wanted someone to talk to and all that, if I wanted someone to talk to and just get my thoughts out, should just went to therapy. Truth be told, that's just kind of what it is. But I also wanted like that compassion, that companionship, that love, that care. Like, I guess I really realized how much more dependent I am as a person than what I truly believed, because I have always seen myself as a very independent person. I always wanted to be seen as my own person. I wanted to do as I please, when I please, without interruption. And I always expected people to kind of like obey that. And if they didn't obey it, then that would lead into its own issue in itself. But I'm starting to realize more and more that my independency, or my vision of independency, was more built on the facade, built within the cracked wall of, I was afraid of being hurt. I was afraid of being alone, and everything around that. Honestly, everything around that. I just told myself that I should do everything. I should take all the sacrifices. That way, I feel like I'm always in power. I didn't want someone to feel like they had power over me. If I can put every situation onto myself, I'm the reason this happened, or I'm the reason this good thing happened, I'm the reason this bad thing happened. I want them to spend as much time with me. And if they don't spend time with me, it's because I don't want to be around them at this current moment for this reason or that reason. I'm like, you're oddly like both possessive and dismissive. I'm eerily issues. I have issues. I think then that's the best way to put it. I can't find the best words. I have a lot of issues, but also I struggle with being alone, despite feeling as if I always want to be alone. But I think that just comes down to I either haven't found or have never felt comfortable in the homes that I've created, and that might stem back from the home that I come from. It's just like, how can you learn to trust? How can you learn to love? How can you not base everything that you experience off your first experience? And that's a question I have for myself, and that's a question I have that I need to work through, not only to heal as a person, but to learn how to be there for the people around me and other people around me. The whole idea of the golden standard, that's something that we talked about a lot. And when I say golden standard, I mean your first experience, your strongest experience with any sort of emotion, feeling, etc., is your golden standard, because that teaches you, that is your first contact with it. So, if you come from a terrible home environment, your parents don't care about you too much, your family doesn't care about you too much, that's your golden standard. You don't really have trust in people, and everything that you experience in life is essentially compared to what you already know. And in this sense, when I talk about golden standard, what you know is the first experience you had with it. So if your first experience with the idea of love is the fact that you are being rejected and people don't like you for who you are and people don't want you for who you are, and people tend to quote unquote leave you for your quote unquote issues, that's your golden standard, because that's the first thing that you consider. Your home is not a home, but nonetheless, it's the first resident that you think of when you figure that you need to run to a different safe house. And that's a whole big problem with trust that we talked about in so much detail, to the point where we had to just leave it at, man, that's a fucked up situation, and we just had to leave it there, because I'm not too sure. We weren't too sure on the best answer. I think he said it best and verbatim for now, because I've been meaning to get him on for an episode, and I fucking will. I will get him on for an episode one day, whenever he's comfortable, whenever he's ready. But when we talked about the idea of the golden standard, running away from home but always thinking of it, it really is just this massive game of trust and trying to figure out, just like, okay, what does it take for me to realize that this house is my home? And, it's just this giant uphill battle that, I'm 20, he's 21. We can't advise about it too well. He's studying the matter because he's going into psychology. So hopefully he can help me with that answer, because not only will it be something I want to know, it's very helpful to me personally. But, I think it really does just come down to allowing yourself to challenge your discomfort. And challenging your discomfort is something that needs to happen in controlled environments. You need to have a strong support system. You need to have, I don't want to say everything, but you need to have everything in place where it's just like, okay, I can allow myself to move into this situation, this feeling where it won't be this way forever. Things will change. Not only will things change, things have changed, and I am okay. I will be okay, and I trust that it will stay this way. And if it doesn't stay this way, I trust that the people around me will help me keep it this way and help me work towards this sort of solution. There's a lot of trust involved with trying to better yourself, try to see different things. And that's a tall hurdle, a very tall hurdle that I think I would want to leave for now. And whether it just be I can finally think a little bit more clearer, or, I experience enough in life where I feel as if I can talk on giving advice on trusting more, I think I should just leave it for now. I'll just leave it at one of my favorite statements: shit don't change if shit don't change. And I understand that trying to be different in any sort of way is a very strong pain, but at the same time, to an extent, right? To an extent, if you have the want, the desire, the, extended want and desire, you've been thinking about this for a while, to be different, then not changing it's painful nonetheless. So it's worth the struggle. It's worth the struggle. Pick your battles. Not everything is worth bleeding over, but sometimes if you see something and you think it might be good for you, sometimes it is just worth it to just shoot for it. Because I can tell you from experience, not shooting for something that you want is very painful. I've held shots and I have shot. I've experienced all of it in a good extent, from the rejection of one's romantic affection, getting, losing it over time, losing it because I said the wrong thing. I've experienced a good amount of it. But like, I also think about moments in life where I decided to be complacent with my situation, and I decided to not say what I wanted to say, do things I wanted to do. And it's way more painful than just, you know, taking that risk. Sometimes it's worth it. Sometimes it's worth it, and, you know, you don't get what you want, you know? You like, one of the main examples I think is just trying to be someone's friend. Some people think when something ends, it means that all the time spent was just a waste, you know? Friendship goes sour. Next thing you know, it's just like, we've been friends for 3 years. This thing happened, or we just finally realized that we aren't the same person, or we aren't similar enough to be close, and it all falls apart. And people just like get stressed and think, oh fuck, well, this was a waste of my time. Like, shouldn't have done it. Be happy with the good things. Excuse me. Be happy with the good things that happen in your life. Be happy that they happened. They could have never happened. And that's something that's a mentality that I've really cherished to my own heart, is the fact that I don't want to be mad that something's over. I'd rather just be happy that it happened in the first place. And I think that idea is why I try to go so hard for some of my friends and the people around me in general, because I'd rather just have all the happy moments and just feel comfort in the fact that at least I got to experience these highs, these beautiful moments with these beautiful people, even if I don't have the pleasure of being with them anymore, or whatever it is. Even if it's bad moments, I can think of friends that I had to cut off because they just weren't good people. They weren't good to me. They weren't good to the people around me, you know. And, you know, pick and choose your battles, create and destroy your own boundaries. But for the people that come to mind immediately, it wasn't like they were terrible people, but we just weren't compatible. So we just had to go. We just went our separate ways. And that's okay, because I can look back on the moments we had and recognize, like, no, you did make a difference in my life, a good difference. It kind of sucks that, you know, we're in a position where we can't be good friends the way that we used to be, but I just wish you well. Thank you for all the beautiful moments we had, and I hope everything goes well for you. And I guess that's something I picked up with age, because I used to be deathly afraid of losing the people around me. I used to do everything in my power to make sure that everyone felt like I needed to be around, and they wanted me around. And, you know, I tried to surround myself with as many people as possible. But it's all about the quality, not the quantity. Because now I'd rather be around the 2-3 people I usually have, who I know are here because of who I am and what I do, not just what I provide, and, you know, et cetera, et cetera. Like, you know, they're happy, they're content with who I am as a person. And that type of comfort can never be found just because you have 100 friends. The number never matters. But finally, like, backing down, because that was still kind of a rant about 2023. Also, in general, just kind of like some a glimpse into my 2023 thought process. I want to spend, I guess, kind of these final moments, because I don't want to spend too much time. It is pretty late for me. I want to spend these moments thinking about 2024. Or not even just 2024, but just thinking about life in general, or thinking about the future. Because, you know, goals are important. I'd argue to a strong extent that goals are the way that routines are built necessarily. You know, if you have a routine, if you have anything that you do on a consistent basis, it's probably a result of some sort of goal you had for yourself in the beginning, something that you wanted, and then it just feels so commonplace that it's never been removed. I know this is primarily mental health focused, so if this isn't something that you do already, I hope that you start to consider doing it for yourself on a regular basis. Please consider it. But eating, drinking water, brushing your teeth, showering, brushing your tongue, cleaning your tongue is very important. Cleaning your room, laundry, stuff like that. Like, sometimes those things are goals. I remember situations in life where it was a goal to just make sure I took a shower every 24 hours or, every single day before I went to sleep. After I woke up and before I went to sleep, take a shower. Doesn't matter when, just please take a shower. I remember that having to be a goal for myself because somewhere along the line of life itself, I just fell into a bout of depression where I couldn't brush my teeth, I couldn't shower, I couldn't clean my room, I couldn't do my laundry. I was just doing whatever the hell I could do to just feel like I was alive, or at that point, just staying alive at the very least. Which, by the way, if you made it this far in life, thank you for being here. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being strong enough to push through the things that you feel. Things will get better as well. Keep working to make things better, but things will get better. I promise you. Stay true to your goals and stay true to what you want to see. Your hard effort, your hard work will pay off eventually. But yeah, I believe that goals are very important. Goals in general, and goals usually build routines. And when I think about this upcoming year, or I guess just, time as it continues to pass me by as if it's a car going 100 miles per hour and I'm walking in the opposite direction, I guess my goals for this year, it's not too concrete, which I wish it kind of was, but for now I'll have the work due and I'll, make the changes that's needed. But I want to finally figure out how to dedicate myself to something. I want to figure out how to be better at sticking with a certain topic by any means. In my head, specifically at the moment, I want to work. When I say focus, I think about productivity. My productivity is usually pretty low. I spend a lot of time lollygagging, fucking around, just doing what I spend a lot of time pleasing myself in the immediate, doing whatever makes me feel happy in the moment, as opposed to what really will fulfill me in the long end, which is building my skills and building things at the moment where I'll have the opportunity to see more as time continues to pass me by, or as time continues at that point. I feel like I haven't been doing the best with that. And I think 2023 is a very strong moment in time where I was just doing whatever I could to feel something, anything, as opposed to doing anything I could to be happy, be comfortable, be in a better position. So I think that's my biggest goal, is trying to challenge the things that make me stray away from my goals and the things I want to see. I think one of the things that really fucks me up in that category is the fact that I struggle to say no at times, or not even no, but I struggle to break away from friends for, I guess, the purpose of just working. It's easy for me to say no, or I'm leaving to friends if I feel as if I have something else to do, which is usually, in that sense, if I have something else to do, it's because I'm being called to do it. But, if there's no inherent, signal to do it, then I won't do it. There's a big difference between trying to leave my friends because I want to record something, or I want to focus on an edit, or I want to focus on, insert here, than, someone calling me someone calling me in the moment and just having to tell my friends, like, real quick, like, oh, I need to leave, or, my parents, my mom might need help with something. It's just like, hey, give me a second, I need to handle this. Like, when someone's calling me, I have bad anxiety with calls. To be completely honest, I have really bad anxiety with calls. Whenever someone calls me, I always feel like the world's colliding. So someone calls me, I'm gonna pick it up. And if it's like the parents, or like someone in the house needing help with something, I'll just get it done immediately or as soon as possible to not have to hear about it, basically. And in a sense, it's all that, those two things are like fear-based. I want to be more comfortable with just doing what I want to do because I want to do it. And like, I guess really growing more into my own shoes, my own fitting, be my own person, because I've realized a lot of situations, but even recently, where I made not the best decisions with my life just because I enjoyed the companionship too much, or I didn't want someone to go, whatever it might be. I could just be sitting in a call with a friend or just talking to a friend, and the fact that they're even there, I don't want to go, because it's just like, well, thank you for being here. Like, I just really enjoy having someone being here in general. I don't want to be alone. Even if I want to work, I'll work when you're not available. I guess I open myself up too much to other people, to the point where it becomes an active detriment to my own well-being, my own sake, my own cares, my own passions and interests. And I guess I just see time as so extendable where I can do that type of thing. And I see time as that extendable until, the walls of my little safe haven starts to crash down on me. And I realize that I probably shouldn't have done that. I probably shouldn't have done that at all. So that's one of my biggest things. I want to learn how to be better at saying no. I want to learn how to be better at feeling confident in the things that I want to pursue, regardless of how people feel about it. I don't talk too much about what I try to get into and what I'm getting into nonetheless. But even when I do, I want people to just, it doesn't matter if they're just what they say. If it's good, if it's criticism, good criticism, constructive criticism, and that's the good thing. And I'm going to run with that, and I'll figure out what I can do. But trying to just keep people around who seemingly just make me feel worse and worse, and I feel like I need to be there, as opposed to I want to be there. I want to change that. I want to change every single part of that. And I guess my other major quote unquote resolution for the new year, or resolution for moving forward in general, as life and time continues to pass, is I want to focus on my mental health more. Which sounds really fucking weird, considering that I talk so much about mental health and the importance of mental health, but it kind of goes back to me talking about alcoholism for a bit here. But I haven't been in the best place, and I've only now have been taking moments where I can start to receive the type of help and guidance, and just create the time that I want and probably need to be a better person for myself. I always figured that it doesn't matter if it's at my own expense, but then I realized that I can't do things for other people if I'm not here either. So it's like a weird, like, double-edged sword in a way. It's like I want to give everything to the people around me for X, Y, and Z reason, but I can't give everything if I have nothing to give. And the more that I've been giving in this capacity, this fashion, the less I have to give to people in the first place. I have to learn how to fight certain battles. Going back to it, it's a battle of trust. I have to destroy some certain barriers, and I need to just allow myself to push through and do things that feel uncomfortable. That way I actually have a chance at being better, a chance at being different. Yeah, I think I got time for this, but to try to keep it semi-brief, because it's still early in 2024, but about a week ago or whatever, it was about Christmas Day at this point, because we had to talk around, it was like Christmas Eve night, the night of Christmas Eve, but I think it went into the morning, so technically Christmas morning as well. But one of the big things that I think will help my mental health is finally setting up more appointments, or getting appointments with a licensed psychiatrist. And with a psychiatrist, I'm finally looking into antidepressants, something I think I talked about so many months ago, and I talk about a good amount in private. But overall, I've been thinking about antidepressants and seeing psychologists for a while, and I finally had some conversations with my mother where it's just like, I've put my walls down for a second. I put down the walls I feel comfortable putting down. There's some things I don't care to talk about with my mother, and I won't. And I have no shame, or no problem with admitting the fact that not every secret, not every word is for everybody. And my mother is not someone I want to share a lot of secrets with. But I shared some things with her on that night, just, so she kind of knows what's going on. And two, just so I can make it clear to her that I need to figure out what the hell's going on with my health insurance, and just like all that type of thing. Because I made it very clear throughout the conversation. It's just like super short, verbatim summary, TLDR, didn't read it, fuck it. TLDR is, I'm not doing well. Haven't been doing well for a while. I've been struggling immensely, especially lately, and I'm willing, I want to go back to therapy. I want to go back to talking to a licensed professional about some of the things that I'm feeling, because the way I have been feeling lately in the last couple months is a very manic, very unpredictable state where I'm uncomfortable with making some certain changes to my lifestyle and the way I think, because of the potential side effects and consequences it might have on either myself or the people around me. Like, I'm afraid of quitting alcohol because I know I will become someone different. And whether that just be from the withdrawal making me more angry to, everyone around me is used to me being drunk, and the regular inhibitors I have in my own mind and own behavior at the current moment, due to rather it be anxiety or not a will to say it, I'm afraid of losing people. But overall, I know I have a substance abuse issue. I struggle with substance abuse, and overall, even if it wasn't for that, I have just a lot of issues with depression and anxiety. And at this point, I want to open myself up to any sort of avenue that could potentially help me deal with that issue, fix that issue, run through that issue. Do I see antidepressants as this fix-all? Hell no. No. My friend who I was talking to earlier today, he made it very clear to me through his current studies as going to psychology that, because I mentioned that whole thing to me, and the only thing he wanted to stress to me was the fact that antidepressants are not this golden pill. It doesn't just fix your issues. It essentially helps people soften up to the point where they can allow themselves to get the help that they actually want and need from licensed professionals, therapists. Like, they work in tandem. Take antidepressants, do the best you can for yourself, and talk to somebody who is able to help you. And as a result, that's the way you can see the most amount of progress. It's not just, pop this pill every single day and then you'll just be, better. But nonetheless, I want to take steps into fixing my mental health issues, my substance abuse issues. I want to start with antidepressants, and from there we'll see where we go. I'm not too sure. Truthfully, I've dabbled in antidepressants throughout my time using substances. I have a history of taking them, not prescribed, but I have taken them. I personally like them, but I haven't been on them in a controlled setting for myself over an extended period of time. So I can't speak on it too well, You kind of just have to make your own assumptions and theories based off the people that you know and the stories you've heard, as well as being comfortable, experimenting with it yourself if you are. I'm not saying antidepressants are for everyone, everyone is very different. You should, on top of it, should probably talk to someone, especially a psychiatrist, about if you believe that you might want antidepressants, because I know that's going to be a whole conversation with them on my own end, is figuring out, is that really what you need or really what you want, or do you really just need a proper shoulder to cry on, or someone that can just help you decipher some of the thoughts that you have? Because I have it's just a lot of shit. And we don't got to get into all that. Not for now. It gets way too confusing, and if I really want to cover it properly, I would end up having to write it down, and it would be a 40-minute podcast episode that's completely scripted from start to finish, kind of like an open letter in a way, because it gets very fucking messy. But overall, that's the other thing I want to focus on. I want to do better by myself, for myself, and the people around me, because I want to be a better person. And especially be a better person just in general, because I've spent a lot of years just kind of fucked up and kind of trying to hide the fact that I'm fucked up, and hiding it so well where I'm not even aware of it. But the memories are coming back, the thoughts are coming back, and it's getting overwhelming lately. So I kind of know what I need to do, because man, let me tell you something. It's been a hell of a ride. In general. I didn't think I'd get this far. I'm 20 years old. Didn't even think I'd get this far. I thought I'd die when I was 13. I thought I'd die when I was 14. I thought I'd die when I was 15. It's interesting making it this far. It's kind of a blessing in a way, because I realized that the more time that you give yourself, the brighter sunsets you see, in a way. Even if it's not immediate, even if it's not constant, trying to remind yourself that pushing through the pain is worth it, because the moments of pleasure are just that strong and that beautiful, especially when you open yourself up and allow yourself to take it in the way that it feels. It's a great feeling. It's a great feeling. It's one that I often forget at times, to be honest. I have a lot of dark moments still, but understanding that there are things to see, experience, feel, love, touch, smell, consume. Honestly, I like food. I like food. Just all of this shit. It's an interesting feeling. It's an interesting feeling to know all of that, but nonetheless, I want to take those feelings. I want to run full steam, because not only do I want to run it full steam just for the sake of it, but I want to get away from 2023. A lot of weird shit that maybe in next couple of months, maybe at the end of this year, maybe I can finally be in a position where I can talk about it. Because for now, I'm still going to hold a lot of it to my own heart. I'll be okay with that. get it out in other places the way I should, instead of, publicly, pseudo publicly, whatever the hell you want to call this. I don't know. But yeah, no. 2023 was a fucking shit show. And I'm hoping I don't allow 2024 to be the same. It's definitely on to a different start than the last, but I'm curious on where this roller coaster of emotion will take me, honestly. So I'm gonna let that shit. I'm gonna let it all happen. And I'll do my best to challenge the biases, the thoughts, the feelings that I've built up and I still hold to myself, whether it be as of recently or in general. That's a short little thing, it's just like a part of my alcoholic issue is the fact that I have a terrible social anxiety. I want to break those barriers down. I want to be able to say the things I think of when I'm sober, as opposed to feeling as if I can only share it confidently and comfortably when I'm drunk, just because maybe it's perceived differently or whatever. But there's just a lot of things that get held back by me being sober, but I can't hide behind that because that's just me. I'm just afraid of being myself, and I don't know what makes me so afraid, and I'll figure it out soon. And when I figure it out, I'll tell you, because hopefully you don't feel so afraid of yourself either, or afraid of being yourself. But man, there's a lot of shit. I want to change, a lot of shit I know I can do, and a lot of shit that I will do. But overall, once again, cheers. Hopefully you're cheersing me with water. Water is amazing. I hope that you eat soon as well. If you haven't eaten lately, make sure to eat, make sure to drink water, make sure to clean your room, make sure to do your laundry, shower, brush your teeth. Brush your tongue as well. Brush your tongue. And here's to hoping that this year is better than the last.